I start talking about the budget a lot, the teachers in our district, the principals in our district, the parents in our district are going to start thinking the budget's the most important thing. And it's not. It can't be. The most important thing in the Walnut Valley Unified School District is kids. And it has to be that way all the time. When we make decisions, even decisions about reducing the budget, we have to make those kinds of decisions looking at the students and keeping the students in mind. And once we take our eye off of that, once we take our eye off the main thing, we're in a little bit of trouble. So part of my job is to remind our principals, to remind our teachers, and we do a good job of having conversations with each other, that we always need to make decisions based on what's best for students. Now, as we deal with financial situations, we'll deal with them. We're smart people. We know how to do that. And we'll do a good job there. But I didn't want to come to you today and talk to you at great length about the challenges in Sacramento with the budget. Because although they exist, that's just not the most important thing. The most important thing in the school district has always been and will always be the students in this school district. That's our focus. Everything else we can sort out. As long as we all pitch in, as long as we all work together, we can solve all kinds of problems as long as we keep our priorities straight. And our priority needs to be the students in the school district. So with that, I want to open up for questions. I'll give you kind of a brief outline of who we are as a school district. But if that's good for you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much,
Sure.
Dr. Conklin. Now,
Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, great. Dr. Conklin, if you don't mind staying on the dais,
Sure.
I'm going to go around, walk around, starting from the back, and see if anyone has any questions. I see some hands raised. I'll start row by row.
All right.
Anyone here in this first row? Okay, the second row over here.
Since you mentioned the International Baccalaureate program as being such an important part of the district, when do you think that we'll have the middle years program available in the district?
You know, that's a great question. My answer is we're really looking into that. The high schools built their program without an MYP, a middle years program, building into there. So they do some of the middle years stuff at the high schools. So I'm having conversations right now with Catherine Real and Jeff Jordan, the two high school principals, about that. I definitely think that there's a middle years program in our future. We certainly want to move in that direction. We can't afford to wait very long, but we need to do it honoring what we already have in place. And we have a strong, robust IB program, both at Denver High School and Walnut High School. So as we investigate the middle year programs that are successful in other districts, we want to make sure that we bring that concept into our district without upsetting the high school programs that exist. But when you have elementary and you have high school, it's only natural to think that we also need to look at that MYP program. It's a very good question. Thanks.
Okay, next question here, sir.
Yeah. My name is Kevin Chen. Thanks for coming to our community.
It's my pleasure.
And I'm a parent of Brian and Emily. They're in CJ Morris. And my question is on a one-to-one laptop program.
Yeah.
So I've seen the school mentioned like last December and delayed to January. So are we going forward laptop program one-to-one for the kids?
Right. You know, that's at CJ Morris, yes. We would like to do it district-wide. I talked about a technology endowment. We'll need quite an endowment to be able to do that. I don't want to get too complicated here, but we need to make sure that we follow all of the appropriate rules and regulations around that. And so as we look at bringing in a one-to-one program, we want to make sure that we're doing it in the right way. And what I'm actually talking about is in a number of districts that have done that, they've asked parents to contribute, and we need to make sure if we're going to ask parents to contribute that we do that the right way. CJ Morris is a school that we're all very proud of. Sue Arzol is the principal there. She has said to me that I need to stop pointing her out in the crowd and telling everybody what a good job she does. But I think she does a great job. I remember CJ Morris from 17 years ago, and I was just on that campus last week, and it just has a great feeling tone to it, and it's one of our schools that's very involved in the PYP program. And you walk around and you hear kids, you hear 6- and 7-year-olds asking deep kinds of questions about why do they do that, and what's going to happen next. I mean, it's a great school. We certainly, I think the one-to-one idea is an idea that we just have an obligation to make sure that we're meeting the needs of kids, and that idea of putting a computer in their hand during the day would just naturally seem like something that's pretty essential. So we may not be able to do it at all schools right away, but we want to develop a refresh program where more and more kids, and eventually almost all kids, we hope, have the ability to access technology. We're watching to see, hopefully the technology gets a little less expensive, but we're not going to do it with a one-shot deal and then everybody uses the same computers for 10 years and they're worn-out computers. You can't do that. You have to make an investment where you reinvest every year to make sure kids have what they need. So, yes, C.J. Morris is one of our first schools to pursue the one-to-one, and I'm encouraging the principal to move forward.
What is the delay on that? 'Cause
You know, yeah, you know, the delay has been, and again, this is a little tricky. The delay has been, one of the things we're looking at is a lawsuit, not in our school district, but around, and it has to do with parents contributing to the cost of the technology, and you can't ask parents to do that. So we need to make sure as we bring the technology in, that we do it in a way that is all just right. And it's just, actually it's working with lawyers to make sure we do it the right way. But we're very interested in that, and Mrs. Arzola is very creative, and she has set aside some money, and she's ready to make it happen. So there already are a number of laptop carts and other things there, but they're hungry for more. Yeah, that's a school on the go. We want to make sure that we support it. Other questions?
I have a daughter in Warner High School, sophomore. Recently, they have to decide to make a choice between AP and IB. And I understand that a lot of teachers encourage the kids to go for IB program. And my daughter really take a serious consideration into it. And she likes to take the theory of knowledge,
right? TOK.
TOK
Theory of knowledge, right?
Classes, but for some reason her destination she wants to pursue for engineer, and physics is a very important course for them to take before they went into the engineer program.
Right.
For some reason, there's no way that she can fit physics into her 4 years planning.
Yeah, the AP physics course.
Right.
Right.
And so it ends up she has to choose AP instead of IB, but she still wants to take the TOK classes. Is there any way that she can do that? Because we tried to ask the GLC, and GLC say there's no close choice between the two programs. So I went back to ask the AP program coordinator, advisor. He said you need to talk to your GLC, and I also asked the IB coordinator. She said, I asked her, is there any rule that AP kids cannot take TOK? She also directed me back to the GLC.
I think you're going to find on that probably the answer is, if you think of a college situation where somebody wants to take a high-level course, there are prerequisite courses that you should take. And the theory of knowledge class is considered to be a culminating class in the IB program. Not all students take it. So one of the issues there is access. Now I'll tell you what we are trying to do. We're trying to make sure that kids who want to get into, especially AP classes, we're encouraging kids to sign up for those classes. We think, we don't want kids to say, I don't know if I'm smart enough to take that class. We're saying, try it. We're saying, try it. We want you to try at least one AP class. We'd like all students to do that. Specifically in your case, that class, that theory of knowledge class, historically has been reserved for kids who've taken a lot of International Baccalaureate classes building up to that. So that may be an issue. And the GLC knows what they're talking about. So I would say the GLC whether or not you agree with their recommendation, it's probably a pretty good recommendation. I'll also tell you that here's something we're trying to sort out as a school district. We would really, I don't want to reduce any more sections at Dunbar High School or Walnut High School. A section is a class. With previous budget cuts, we reduced. Some students were taking a 7-period day, and now they've reduced to a 6-period day. One of the things we're looking at is the possibility of online courses to supplement that. So students might be able to take classes online for their 7th class. We're also seeing it to be possible for students to take a 7th class kind of in the evening, almost like an adult education course. So those are two innovative kinds of things that we're looking at. And the reason we're looking at those things is because what you describe is not uncommon, and that is we have students who are hungry for knowledge, and they actually want more classes than we're able to give them. Now, in some ways that's a good problem to have, because in other parts of the state the dropout issue is a real issue. That is kids saying, I don't want to go to class. Here we have kids saying, I want to go to class, but you're not giving me enough classes. So while it is a good problem, it's a problem nevertheless. And so what I hear you saying is that your child wants to take these classes and these classes, and they can't take them all. And that's, I get that. We need to figure out how we can offer more classes to students who want those classes. But specifically for the theory of knowledge class, it might be that as interesting as that looks, there are some prerequisites to that, if that's what the GLC is saying.
I think their concern is not the prerequisite. The concern is if you want to take AP, you can take the class in IB.
Okay, and that might be as something that gets nailed down to something like on that period of the day, you have to choose one or the other. You know, it might be that they're both offered at the same time or something.
We are willing to give up one AP course if she can get into the TOK class.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's not an option for her.
Well, who's the grade level coordinator? Who's the GLC?
Mr. McDeal.
Okay, so that's a good grade level coordinator. I would go back.
He's very good, and he knows my daughter very well.
See, isn't that great that they know each other that well? That's very important.
But I was wondering if that's a very good course. The kids want to take it. Parents is supporting, and
you would think there should be access.
Yeah, should be that.
We'll work on that. Right now, probably the answer. The answer might be that that's not possible for now. But knowing that there are kids who are thirsty for that kind of class, we need to work on a solution to that problem. Good. We'll continue to work on that. Thank you.
Question over here.
Thank you. Well, thank you for making your time to be out here and speaking with the parents. I guess I have a little bit more general philosophical question since you've been an educator for quite a long time. You've given the scores of various schools in this district performing very high. What do you see is the cost for the school district having to perform at that peak level? What is the cost to the students where we are so conscientious about the score? What are we losing in terms of the character development, for example? I appreciate your concern for personalizing our education. I guess broader is just from elementary all the way through high school, how we are nurturing the whole student and not just pushing for the score. And the other aspect is, as you talk about personalizing it, both high school with 3,000, I think this, previous question is tackling just a little bit, but I think is at a broader level. With that big of size, what is in structure within the school program to ensure that there is personalized attention? For example, how are we ensuring the quality of GLCs or faculty from teachers, for example? Is there a way for students to voice evaluation, for example, to make sure that teachers who are doing their job are reinforced and rewarded, and those who may be not quite up to par on those level? Or is there something in the system to do that check and balance?
Okay, you've asked a lot of questions there, so I'm going to go through, but if I forget something, let me know, and I'll come back to it. Personalization at a large high school, the answer to that one is, or one of the answers is in the GLC model. The situation you just heard about was that an adult knows the student very well, and they had ongoing conversation. So I think the ability for an adult to be on that campus, we have more grade level coordinators, they're sort of counselors, for as an average or a ratio to the number of students than most high schools have. We have more of those grade level coordinators because we think that that connection is very important. So we value that. So number one, what do we do to make it a personalized experience? We want to make sure that there are adults on campus who have that, that direct kind of connection with students. And the GLC model tends to work very well. A lot of other high schools visit us to try to copy it. That's number one. Number two, about the teachers. The good news is the vast majority of the teachers are doing an outstanding job. I am proud of the teachers that we have in this district. Now, if you take 100 people or 1,000 people and you say, well, are they all perfect? They're not all going to be perfect. But the vast majority of our teachers, they all work hard. And the vast majority of them, I think, just do a great job with our kids. The measure that I use, whether it be a kindergarten class or a high school class, is what I want my own child in this classroom. And I can say, as I visit now every school, almost without exception, I would say I would be proud to have my child in this classroom. So I'm a big fan of teachers. I think teachers do a great job. For the few teachers who are off their game, first of all, in this district, they're challenged by hardworking kids who hold them pretty accountable. So that alone is I think, a very good thing. And along with that, we, of course, have a system where administrators come alongside those teachers and say, come on, you're not doing this or you're not doing that. But we're a pretty fast-paced school district. There's not a lot of room for teachers to kind of just sit back and relax. They don't take a lot of time off. In fact, visiting some schools, one of the conversations we've had is the stress that teachers feel because of all the work they're doing. So this is a very exceptional group of teachers in the school district. And I'm proud to say that. And the ones, as I said, who are off their game a little bit, we work with them individually. Of course, there are things like unions and contracts and all that. But that's not an issue that seems to be pervasive here in Willamette Valley, the issue of teachers who are not engaged. We have very engaged teachers. You asked about the whole child. Test scores are a reality. Test scores are a measure that a number of people use to just get a snapshot of how well a school is doing. And we look at that, and we know that they don't answer, that a test score doesn't reflect everything. And we understand the notion of teaching to the test. And in reality, teaching to the test is exactly the right thing to do if it's the right test. If it's the right, there are NCAA basketball games going on right now, and the test is whether or not the team will win. So as a team practices to win a game, they're teaching to the test. See, that's not such a bad thing, as long as it's the right test. So that gets into what are the questions that are being asked on the test, and the test, the state has worked hard to align with grade level standards to say this is what second graders should know, or this is what eighth graders should know.